I think you just cemented the appeal for those games to me. Like you don't have to rely on anybody else to do literally everything.
Yeah.
Like you just build your own house, you build your own bed, you build your own like castle, you get your own food. You don't need, to have a job or go to the grocery store to have.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, let's just go in my backyard and dig up a few rocks and I could just build a mansion.
Yeah. Uh,
Welcome to the Cable Club. We're a retro video gaming podcast where three guys save a princess who isn't in another castle, and we're linking up to talk about the games you love and rank them. We're your hosts. I'm Steve.
I'm Dan.
and I'm surprised Steve didn't take the opportunity to say a flat princess. I'm Don.
And this is episode number 29. This week's episode is our third League episode, and the entry is Paper Mario for the N64, submitted by Don.
Yeah. You mean the league winner?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. So get ready to upload data from us to you. But first, boys, let's set the stage. It's the year 2000, and you're nearing the tail end of your summer vacation. It was one of the best. Pool parties, sleepovers, running around in the woods, and climbing on every piece of playground equipment that you could find. One fateful Saturday morning, you're eating your favorite sugar-laden cereal. Mine was Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Reese's
And-
Puffs.
It's because Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the best cereal ever made.
Dude, Reese's Puffs is good too.
Reese's Puffs is also very good, but it's just the Cinnamon Toast Crunch eats it out a little bit.
And your home phone rings. Your mom picks it up, and she answers politely, as mothers usually do. After about 2 seconds, though, you could see her face change to a bored expression. She pulls the corded phone across the kitchen and hands it to you. It's your best friend, and he's inviting you over for the day with the permission of his parents. He's very excited to show you a new game. You've played tons of games with this friend, and it's always a blast. You ask your mom for permission and jump on your bike to ride over. Once you arrive, you rush up to his room and you see it. A new Mario game? But this one was different. Something was strange about it. However, the more you played, the more it started to grow on you. All of the different strategies, the quirky, charming comedy, the massive world, and simple, yet deep story. This was truly a treasure. But the best part about it all was that you got to share it with your best friend. So, funny story about that. I think this is like the first game that Dawn and I really bonded over during a summer.
I thought it was Smash.
We played Smash, but this was different because it was playing a one-player game, taking turns. Like, I vividly remember going through this game with Dawn when we were both pretty young, like 7th or 8th grade.
Chuckling like insane people at the Tubba Blubba's castle part. Angry scribbles. The club is
The whatever that creature is inside the whale. You want a piece of this?
Yeah. I don't know what he is still to this day.
He's some stomach bug. I don't know.
Yep. He's the stomach bug. God, I love this game.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. This is the first time I've actually went through it and beat it, and yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with the game.
All
Hold
good
back
things.
your unbridled excitement, boys, because I've got some announcements for you. I have said before, but this is the Cable Club League. We're now 3 episodes into it. From here on out, we're going to be inviting a guest on every single episode to talk about their favorite game and tell us why it should win the league. And then we're going to rate it because it's the internet, and that's how it works. We are booked out pretty far but not all the way for the whole year. So if you listener, I'm looking at you, are wanting to participate in this league, go ahead and write into thecableclubpodcast@gmail.com, pitching your game, and we'll see if we can get you on the schedule. What you get for participating, if you're a content creator, this matters, and maybe if you're not a content creator, it still matters. But on our little tier list, you're going to get your logo that's going to be there pretty much all year as we go through this league. And you'll also get a commemorative spot on our website as a Cable Club guest when we get that website up and running. Which leads me into my next announcement. Our getting the website up has stalled a little bit, but don't worry, it'll be coming in the weeks ahead. I think we'll have it done before the end of the year. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be your hub for all things Cable Club Podcast. And the other announcement, guys, which I'm very excited about, but also a little miffed about, is that we're at 99 subs on YouTube. 99. That is annoying.
I know.
A really annoying number to be at. If we reach
we want to
100...
get that triple digits.
Yeah, I want it so bad. If we reach 100, we will get to do a bonus episode for you guys, which is TBA. We always keep it super top secret until we actually launch it. So if you're out there and you're watching this, you could be sub number 100. So hit that subscribe button for us if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on a listening platform, go ahead and leave us a kind rating and review. I may as well do the plugs now since we're doing this. No shame on the Cable Club Podcast.
None whatsoever.
No, there is when you're the kid taking home games from Movie Gallery and erasing everybody's save files.
I said no shame here. And with that, Dan, take us over to question of the week.
Alrighty. Question of the week. If you could choose the physics from one video game to bring into real life, which would it be? I have an okay-ish answer for this one, but I'm curious to what you guys have. Any of you guys want to take a crack at it?
Yes, I would choose easily Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Those moon physics jumping are so awesome, and the fact you never break your neck falling off of them and you just get back up. So, we get giant jumping and we get pretty much being indestructible, right?
Yeah.
And riding a skateboard's never been easier. I can't ride a skateboard now, but I probably could if it was the Tony Hawk's physics.
Absolutely. Isn't there like a mode in those games where like if you put it on like super easy, you can't even like wipe out? I know like some of the games do that. I don't know which game specifically, but like you can just do whatever the heck you want and just like not even fall off. It's like glued to your feet.
I like that if you're good enough, you can just like grind forever.
Yeah.
And like if you like grind, you'll start out fast, but if you're on like a long enough grind, you'll just like sit there and you're gonna be like leaning forward and it's just going like
yeah. With like the needle thing, you gotta like kind of like balance it. Like
yeah, or doing the what are they called? Manuals? When you're kicked up onto just your back treads. You bridge the gap and you earn mega points for that.
So, I kind of had a tough time with this question, but I know there weren't a bunch of rules put in. But my initial thought was like Prince of Persia, being able to change time.
Yeah, I
being
think
able to
if I had
rewind
that
time.
ability, I would just like literally pause time for I don't even know how long.
I know. I would do it at work. I'd pause time, be like, all right, I'm done. And the foreman would be like, holy crap, you did that in 3 seconds? And it's like a day's worth of work.
I mean, just like take a nap and have nobody notice. Just be like, pause. Yeah. I'm going to do what I want for a week. I'll be back. So
if you pause the time, would you still age, or would your aging like stop as well?
What was that movie that covered that? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
There was like a movie with like a bunch of like I can't remember whether they were like high school or college age people, and somebody figured out they could stop time, and the whole thing was about that it was like killing them every time they did it. I'll think of it.
Yeah,
it wasn't a very good movie. It wasn't a very popular movie, but it's like late 90s.
Another one that I was thinking of was like Mega Man X can climb walls, but then it brought me to the Spider-Man games, and if I could be Spider-Man, that's easily my answer.
Well, yeah. I don't think it's to be your favorite video game character. It's
I know, but like the physics in the game allow him to do those things, like run on walls and web sling, and it's in the game. So I wasn't sure what the rules of the game were.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
I had a hard time with this one.
Yeah. No, me too. It was a little tough, but I think what I ultimately went with was like the crafting games, like so you got like Minecraft or 7 Days to Die or Rust or whatever. So you have like infinite bag space where you could just like put everything in it. You could just build stuff. So you could just like shovel up rocks and you could just build this whole massive landscape with it with like barely any support.
You'd be
You
your
could
own
build.
contractor, you make
I know.
millions of dollars.
Yeah, you could build a bridge with like one support, and it would be like the best bridge ever.
I think you just cemented the appeal for those games to me. Like you don't have to rely on anybody else to do literally everything.
Yeah.
Like you just build your own house, you build your own bed, you build your own like castle, you get your own food. You don't need, to have a job or go to the grocery store to have.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, let's just go in my backyard and dig up a few rocks, and I could just build a mansion.
Yeah. Might be arguably better than stopping time.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if you were the villain in that time-stopping story, it'd be easy to get money to build whatever house you want. But it is a good physics to pick, being able to build whatever you want, crafting game.
I was
Yeah.
thinking something like Soul Calibur, you just can't be cut by weapons.
What kind of job would you do if you couldn't get cut? Like, I'm a carpenter, or like
Wood chipper inspector,
Yeah.
alligator wrestler.
your feet are sticking out of the wood chipper. You're like, yeah, turn it on. I have to see it running. They turn it on. You go, ah, and then you go, I'm just kidding.
Just
Oh, you
kidding.
could do fighting sports pretty well too. If you couldn't get cut, like boxing or MMA. Yeah, your eyebrows wouldn't get like split open.
It's like that superpower. I'm completely immortal, but I still feel everything.
That would suck.
Not a good power. Those are our answers. How about you? We have Lycianthia, who says Portal. Portal's wormholes are physics-based, and that would be amazing tech to have. Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah. I saw that in Discord, and I agree. That was actually, I don't know where he pulled that from, but that was a good answer.
Yeah, no, that'd be a really fun one.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those games. Have you both played Portal 1 and 2?
I've played them. I've never beat them, but yeah, I know what they are. You create a portal by shooting it with like some sort of gun, and you go through it.
You have two guns,
Oh,
or
yeah,
maybe it's one gun, but either way, you make two portals, and they're connected, so you can walk through walls and get up higher, or do all kinds of cool stuff.
Step through blue, come out orange, vice versa.
Yeah.
My favorite are like the puzzles where you build momentum, where like you drop something into the blue portal and then shoot the orange portal above it, and it's just going until it builds enough momentum, and then you shoot the blue portal somewhere else, and it like flies out of it.
Yeah,
It already got so much momentum on it. That's so cool.
I'd be so scared though.
Yeah,
How are we gonna land this?
I know you have to be careful.
Building so much momentum, you're like, I can't get out of this. I'm going to die now.
I think like
I'm going too fast.
Fall speed gravity wise, like I think you hit like 120 miles an hour. I think that's what it like caps at in real life if you manage to fall for that long.
You're talking about terminal velocity?
Yeah. I think it's 120 miles an hour.
Instead of one on the ceiling, you could shoot another one on the floor, so that when you come up, gravity will pull you back down. And if you do that enough times with enough accuracy, you will slow down. But I'd be scared.
Yeah.
You know what, Dan? I think you're right. I think terminal velocity is around 120 miles an hour.
Yeah. It's very scary. Hitting the ground at that speed. Like, imagine someone throwing a wall at you at 120 miles an hour.
I don't think you'd know.
Yeah.
For very long.
You'd be done. Dunzo.
Splat. We have JMO, who says, definitely Animal Crossing. He wants to live in a world where everything fits in your pockets, and digging a hole isn't the most frustrating, tiring thing you've ever done in your life. It's kind of like what you said, Dan.
Yeah, it's fairly close, yeah.
I dug a giant hole to make a swing set for my daughter, and yes, digging a hole is some of the most exhausting things.
I still got to get on that grind of like building a swing set for my little girl.
For like a whole weekend, Dan, I just dug a hole.
I think next spring is when I'm going to actually start doing that.
Have fun.
My kids have outgrown their swing set, so we removed it and we'll be getting a pool.
We're gonna need a bulldozer to remove this swing set. It's in there. Lobaka says, if life had Tetris physics, I would have so much less stuff. So I take that to mean he's very organized. And if you just had like a bookshelf of books just like completely stuffed from line to line, they would just disappear.
I'm so tired of these books, and I don't feel like bringing them to the Goodwill. Let's place one right here.
My game collection.
I know. He goes like grocery shopping or something, and he accidentally places them all in like a line in the fridge, and they just disappear. I'd be like, no.
Trying to think of how you could use it to your advantage. It's pretty tough. Just don't lay down on a couch.
Garbage, of course.
Don't lay down on a couch that's just short enough, right? Because then if you fill the space, you just.
So, like, my immediate thing is like your trash. You would just put it all together in a line to make it disappear. The only problem is there'd be a bunch of stuff falling from your ceiling all the time. It's like a new episode of Chopped. You're in the kitchen and food's just like appearing. You're like, what do I have to make?
Last but not least, we have Hapney, who says Smash Bro physics would be pretty legit. Which part?
The double jump.
That would
Double
be sweet.
jump is, yeah. Well, would it though? I don't jump very high. A second jump isn't going to get me too far.
Or possibly, when you get hit, you get sent flying. I mean, that's another one.
Hey, you could wave dash.
You get like tired, right? So you end up at a high percentage and someone just whacks you and there's your commute to Boston right there.
Or it's like you're walking around your house and you stub your toe and you end up like ping-ponging everywhere in your house.
Until you just effing explode.
To be fair, if the physics were the same, there's no fall damage.
No,
for all those
isn't.
times I jump off high things.
No, I'm saying your flight to Boston wouldn't hurt you.
Only the initial impact.
I mean, if there was a fire, then you could jump out of the building and, not take fall damage.
It appears to me that in Smash Brothers, nobody takes life-threatening injuries either. Kind of like most fighting games, no matter what happens to you.
Yeah.
Like in like Mortal Kombat, when you see like the X-ray hits of their like skull getting broken and stuff, and they just keep fighting. You're like, yeah, it's kind of like that.
You also would have stocks too. So if you ended up quote unquote dying, you would just respawn.
No, we're on time match, but a single stock time match.
I think it's a little of both. Anywho. So that's our question of the week. If you want to get your question of the week answered, join our Discord and go over to the question of the week thread and type in there and tell us what your question of the week is. We like to get multiple of these if we can. I think they're fun. And I just really like talking with our Discord and getting their thoughts on the show. But now, do you guys want to get skinny with it and get into the game?
Let's get skinny with it.
It's me, Mario.
Hey, Mario.
Here's my pitch to you guys. Paper Mario. It is a 2000 RPG for the N64. It is one of 13 RPGs released for the N64, only 6 of which made it over to the States. The other ones are either Japanese or European only, some combination thereof. The system did not do RPGs.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG, but it took on...
It was going to be a direct sequel.
Yep.
But they scrapped it.
Yep, they ended up scrapping it, and I'm glad they did, because it really became something that was very unique on its own. Although I would argue that this first game is the peak of the series, and it started to slide downhill gradually at first, then rapidly.
Yeah, that's a shame, because this one's so good.
It was made by Intelligent Systems. You might recognize them. They also brought us Fire Emblem and WarioWare and the Wars series, as in Advanced Wars. And I think before that there was like just Nintendo Wars, or was it NES Wars or something like that?
They made the original 1983 Mario Brothers.
Really?
And Metroid.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
So quite the repertoire on these.
Yeah,
photos.
they're on Super Metroid too. They have a really good list of games.
Yep. Is an excellent publisher to follow. And Paper Mario is the kind of RPG that I enjoy because the enemies are on screen. There's no random encounters per se.
Always a plus.
And there's action commands like crazy. Like, I think, Super Mario RPG had action commands, but I don't think quite like Paper Mario does.
Right.
Kind of ramps it up a bit. So it is my favorite game ever. I've played this game like nearly annually, and I think what appeals to me about Paper Mario is that it is the like quintessential Mario versus Bowser story, but I feel like ramped up. Like Bowser really tried hard this time.
Yeah, he actually beat Mario at first. You know, he grabbed that star rod and whatnot, made himself invincible.
I think like my favorite part of the game has to be, there's a lot of things I love, but the writing is just so charming and so well done. And they followed it up in like all the other Mario RPG games, like the Mario and Luigi games and the other Paper Mario games. They're all charming in their own way, and it's just such a great start for the series, and it makes me incredibly sad at the current state of affairs of the series.
Yeah, and for any of you who don't know, so I'm in the minority, but I like the first game better than the Thousand Year Door. You could argue that the Thousand Year Door was the peak of the series. It kind of has a similar battle system to this one, and it kind of builds on it a little bit. I just don't like the story or its charm as much. And then you had Super Paper Mario, which for whatever reason they just decided to like absolutely completely upend the formula. Like it became like a side-scrolling like action RPG almost, with like a lot of the jumping and platforming you'd recognize from a regular Mario game. Sticker Star Saga, I don't know what they were doing. It's pretty terrible, and then I kind of lost touch with the series after that. I figured they had given up on it, and so did I. So I'll just keep playing Paper Mario 1 and enjoying that.
So my question is the developer, you said it was Intelligence? Did they keep up with the series, or did some other company take over?
Yep, they also made Thousand Year Door, Super Paper Mario, Paper Mario Sticker Star, Paper Mario Color Splash, and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door remake.
Intelligent Systems became unintelligent systems.
Oh, and Origami King, they made that too.
Yeah, cool. Because sometimes as games in a series can go downhill if, like, say, like another company takes over. So that's why I asked that question. But unfortunately, I guess it was all on them.
New staff.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
That too. Yeah,
and I mean, my feeling, I don't have this like backed by any like actual facts, but my feeling is that they wanted to use Paper Mario as an experimental Mario shell and use the Mario and Luigi games as their main RPG, like Mario series. Nintendo, that is.
Yeah, possibly. I really enjoyed this first Paper Mario game. So when you guys say like the series kind of goes downhill, it's kind of sad because I actually really do want to try Thousand Year Door. I mean, probably fairly soon, actually, because I really enjoyed the first Paper Mario.
Well, good for you. News is that they made the remake, HD remake.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm gonna pick up.
I think one of the things that appeals to me too is that this game hasn't really aged like super poorly.
No, it hasn't. In this game, it has mechanics that you still don't see in like RPGs that come out even today. Like action commands are so good. I'm surprised like a lot of RPGs don't like adopt that.
Well, Final Fantasy VIII has trigger
Team
for Squall.
action command here.
Yeah, like I've been playing a couple other RPGs. Sometimes I want to hit a button as I'm like hitting an enemy, or when an enemy hits me. It's just like I get so used to it. Like battles get so intuitive, like when you can actually do stuff rather than just hit attack and just watch it happen. It's great.
Well, not only that, but like in normal, like let's just use Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest as kind of like the main JRPG formulas. The strategy that they implore or that they apply to the games is usually based on like buffing your characters, attack, and magic. There's not generally a ton of strategy. Like, yeah, your guy gets hurt, heal them. That's just regular basic fare. But in this game, they have all kinds of different enemy types that you can't hit with your hammer, for example. So you have to use jump. And some enemies, they are resistant to jump attacks and you have to use your hammer, like if they have spikes, or the strategy in the game is extremely simple, but they do it in a way that makes you think about turn order for you and your partner, and it makes you think about the types of upgrades you want to do. We'll talk about badges later, but like just the basic combat in this game is a lot more deep than initially presented to you in the game. It ramps up pretty quickly after like chapter or near the end of chapter 1.
Yeah. And I like how like it like when it first starts off, like you barely have like anything. But like as you progress, so you get it all fairly quickly, but then you get like the action commands. You can start using items and stuff like that. Like it kind of spoon feeds you like what you can actually do in the game, but it does it at like a fairly fast pace. So you're not waiting forever to do all this stuff. I remember telling you guys about like the action commands, and you guys said, yeah, the game gets so much better after you can actually start doing that stuff. And yeah, it's crazy.
You sent this screenshot and you're like, oh, so good, or so far so good, and you're in like the pre-log before even fighting Goomba King, and Don and I are sitting here thinking to ourselves, just wait till he gets action commands.
Yeah. Yeah, like action commands like change the whole game. Like you were saying, Steve, with like the strategy. Like there's some enemies where like you kind of want to delete them first and foremost because like maybe they do a lot more damage. I will say like there's something I wish the game did, which it's not a big deal, but I wish changing your partner didn't take their turn. That's the only thing.
There's a badge that allows you to swap without taking a turn.
Oh, there is. I never got it.
Change. Yeah,
I didn't get that badge. Oh my god, dude! How many badge points was that?
It's broken.
The game is
I think
so
it's like
deep.
4 in this one, but they realized how broken it was in the 1,000-Year Door, and I think it's like 8 in that one.
8? Oh my god!
It is very good. Just saying.
I didn't even know. Like I think I got like probably a third of the badges because there's a lot of badges in this game, and
oh yeah, there are.
And it changes your play style significantly. Like think of badges of like equipment like in another RPG. It basically changes what your Mario can do.
Yeah, so I've played this game enough times. I've played a lot of different builds. This time I tried to play the game as quick as possible. I got through it in under 9 hours, and I did a danger build. That is when you have 5 HP. And if that, to you, the listener, sounds weird, it is a little bit, but this game has a pretty unique scale to it, where instead of like in Final Fantasy, you'll deal like thousands of damage, and like the numbers are kind of arbitrary, right? And like it's hard for you to calculate exactly how much damage an attack is going to do to you, right? Like even in a game like Pokemon, right? Like if you're a Venusaur and you're getting hit with a flamethrower, from Charmeleon, you're just like crossing your fingers praying you don't die, but you have like no way of knowing how much damage that attack is going to do except like by using some kind of online calculator, right? But I like that this game has like those small numbers, and once you fight an enemy you know what it's about, right?
Yeah.
And if you get good at blocking, like it really lets you plan several turns ahead because you know how much damage is going to get dealt to you. They don't even have crits in this game, which is kind of nice because then that kind of garbage doesn't happen to you, right?
Like, Goombario basically tells you everything you need to know about an enemy. It'll tell you like its HP, its like defense, its attack. So right off the bat, like before the thing even attacks you, you know what you're like up against, which is I think is great.
It's just nice. Like it's a very well designed system because of that, I think.
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of get into is because Dan said Goombario. In this game, there's like, I don't know, 7 partners.
Yeah, 7.
And one of the cool things that I like about it is they're all Mario enemy types. There's a Goomba, a Koopa, except for Watt.
No, he is. There's those little living things that go around on tracks. I think you see them as early as Super Mario World.
Super Mario World.
That could
be what he is, but he's like she's a light bulb.
Yeah.
Well, she's one of those spark enemies, and she's in a lantern when you find her. Hold on, I'll find the Mario enemy name.
Anyway, while he does that, Yeah, and there's a Boo, there's a Cheep Cheep, there's a Lakitu, um, a
They give you two
Bob-omb.
Koopas too, two different type of Koopas.
A Koopa and a Paratroopa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paratroopa. And it's just so cool to have your partners. And the other cool part about them is they all do something a little bit different, and they all have abilities inside and outside. I'm not going to say everything because I don't want to hog the whole entire segment, but I really like the partners.
So the battles are super engaging. We already talked about that, but how did you guys like navigating the world? Because I think that's what Steve's getting at. It's not your typical RPG where you're just walking from point A to point B. Like there's some light platforming, right? There's some
yeah,
exploration elements. There's I don't want to say Metroidvania, but gatekeeping elements, right? Where like you might need a special hammer to break a block, or you might need one of the partners that does something different for you to pass an obstacle and explore a new area, right? And like they tend to in their own chapters showcase the partners, like the cheap one, Sushi.
yeah.
There's like a bunch of water in her chapter, and Sushi lets you swim across water, and all the while, because it's kind of late in the game, you've been encountering like these, wooden docks on bodies of water with stuff in the middle of the water that you're like, oh, how do I get that? Right? So there's just like tons of stuff like that.
The first time I noticed that with like you're talking about like the water docks was when you go in the sewers under Toad Town. And I remember that there was one there. And I kind of knew that like you eventually would get to swim just because after that you kind of see them throughout the world. That island on where the Yoshis are, that's where you get Sushi. And then you can start swimming around and you can actually dive. But yeah, like the partner system was great. You can use like the paratroopa, paracarry to like fly over gaps that Mario normally couldn't get to, or like hit certain switches with Cooper. Yeah, sometimes you have to like hit switches with him, or like you could even grab items with it. It's kind of like a boomerang. Or blowing up walls with Bombette. That was another thing.
Yep, and the Lakiluster can fly you over top lava and spikes and stuff, and then
That
Yeah.
all he's good for.
Dude, no, he's actually not bad. I mean, obviously, yeah, that battle wise, he's not like the greatest, but like you zoom while you're on him. Like I like using him, like
get
just
the
like
speedy
traverse.
spin badge.
Yeah, I just spin dashed my whole way through the game.
I did that. Okay, so I did that most of the game too, because obviously you get him pretty late. Ah, dude, I wish there was more badge points. 30 is just not enough.
Yeah, that's it's. I wish too.
Because like there was times where I did have the speedy spin dash on, but I ended up with taking it off a lot of the time because it's like I needed that 1 point for something else.
So not only do the partners help out a ton in the overworld, but in this game, during the battles, like Dan said, he wishes that you could swap your partner without taking a turn. And obviously, there's a badge that does that. But the reason that he wishes that, if you haven't played Paper Mario, is that all of these different partners also have special abilities, and they all have different like attacking types. So, for example, if you hit a Bob-omb and you don't defeat it on the first turn, it lights a fuse. And if you have a character that touches that Bob-omb with an attack, it'll blow up and hurt you. But Cooper, being in a Koopa shell, you can kick him at it and he won't take damage. And there's all kinds of interactions in this game that make you want to use different partners for different
Yeah,
options. Like,
exactly. Because like a lot of the times, like you'll get into like those encounters, and obviously you can see like the first enemy you run into on the field, but like when you actually get into the battle, it could be multiple enemies. What I found a lot of the time was like, oh well, I need to switch this partner out so I can actually attack said enemy, and that actually happened a lot through the game, and it was just I found it a little bit annoying that like essentially waste a turn of my partners just trying to swap them out, like because I had to do that a lot. But again, it like very minor. Other than that, the game's like flawless.
Well, they're doing it to you intentionally, right? So like you could take up Mario's turn to do it, right? And they
Yeah, and
even
I
made a
did that
badge,
too.
to not take up a turn. So I think it's self-aware. And it's funny because if you play through the game a couple times, you start to build the skill of knowing when to use a partner. and you see how much quicker the battles go because you already know what you're up for, what you're in for, basically. I don't know. It's so much fun.
I murdered every single minion of Bowser this playthrough. I fought every single enemy that I ran across.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts here. Like, one, I want to hold on the partners for 1 second because I want to talk about my favorite one, which is Bo.
She's good.
One, because in battle she has this ability called Out of Sight that makes you transparent for a turn. So a lot of bosses have attacks that they build up, or there's enemies that build up attacks. She basically lets you skip all of that, right? It's like a protection. She gives up 2 turns to do it, though. But also, I love how they handle her overworld ability time and time again. So it makes you transparent and, like, I think invisible, really.
Yeah, that's transparent.
Yeah. So so if an enemy aggroes you and you use it, the enemy is like confused because they can't find you. But then there's like puzzles, like tons of puzzles where you have to use this ability and you might forget about it.
I remember 3 of them.
Yeah, well, there was the toy box one, the Shy Guy toy box, where like you had to go on the conveyor belt and go through the wired fence or whatever. I didn't know what to do there. So another thing I want to mention, the fortune teller. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he is
Merlin.
Yeah, Merlin. He is so good at telling you exactly what you need to do at any given time of the game.
What a great addition. Like, normally when you put down an RPG and you come back to it 2 weeks later, you don't remember what you're doing. Back in the day, Merlin was right there. He had your back.
Yeah, but like I don't know, man. Just like the amount of programming that they would have to do to like make him say what he does. But like you literally could do like this tiny one thing, and then his dialogue would change. Be like, okay, so I noticed you did this, so now you have to go and do that. It was like that specific. I was like, wow.
I know where all of Dan's coins went.
Yeah, I didn't have to look at online for anything.
You have to
like
pay him
he was
too.
that good.
Dude, I had max coins. I got 999 coins.
I was so poor because I was like level 8 until like the Crystal Palace.
Wow.
Like I was very underleveled, and then I realized that I was also poor because I wasn't fighting any.
The highest I got up to, and it was in Bowser's Castle, was like in the 500s.
Wow. Oh, Steve went on like a murder spree then.
Yeah, or he just wasn't buying anything. I was literally buying every badge from the Toad Town store every time they popped up because I wanted to buy them so I could see what else that he had.
I didn't have enough badge points to buy new badges.
Yeah.
I had like the attack pluses are 6 badge points.
Yeah, it was my first time playing it, so like, he had a lot of unique badges, so it was like sometimes I had to buy crappy badges just to get them out of, the store so I could see what else that he had.
Oh, also in this game, if you've played Super Mario RPG, you'll know about flower points. This game also does flower points. So depending on which badges you have equipped, which is I think the next thing we should talk about, depending on the badges you have equipped, you'll get certain special options in battle that cost flower points. Basically like MP.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But the thing about flower points is that they're mostly valuable, in my opinion, on your partners, because each partner will get one special ability to start with, and you can upgrade your partners twice throughout the game, and they'll get new abilities that do more crazy things and cost more MP, basically, your flower points. And I think, Don, you said something about flower points this time around. You kind of came around on it.
Yeah, so when I used to play this game back in the day, I used to love badge points. Like badge points would be where I would put all the points. And then as I became more efficient at playing through this game and knowing that, you need to kill certain enemies and you'll make battles go so much easier and faster, or, just down bosses in like a couple turns, it's really about having enough flower points to deal all that damage sustainably, like as you go through the dungeons and stuff, at least initially. And then it becomes about trying not to level up too much to keep 5 HP for the rest of the game. But yeah, so on that badge thing, like they tilt you towards certain builds Like this is how you have builds in this game. So Mario has levels. He gains experience. But when he levels up, you can only pick between 3 stats to raise: HP, flower points, and badge points. Badge points we've already talked about a little bit. They let you equip more of these badges. Flower points are your MP, and HP is obvious, right? But notice he doesn't gain like attack.
Yeah.
So if you never got like a boot upgrade or something, you'll just deal 1 damage for the whole game, right? So the badges are where you get to do more of that stuff. They can upgrade your attack, upgrade your defense. They can make it so you can use more star abilities as you go through the game. You get these star abilities, which I'd say are like upper middling power, pretty much all of them, right? But they don't cost flower points. They have their own currency. There's badges that incentivize you for. There's ones that like give you regen. Lower the ability costs. So the one I did, I had a bunch of badges that proc when you're in danger status. That's when you have 5 HP or less. So you start with 10 HP in this game. But there's one badge that gives you +2 power, which is insane. If you're in danger. There's one that halves the damage you take if you're in danger, which is also insane.
That's
with a couple of defense badges and being good at blocking, you like pretty much don't take damage at that point. And then there's another one that's called Close Call that just occasionally enemies miss. I think like at least a third of the time they just straight up miss while you're in danger.
There's also another. I think there's 2 Close Call badges even.
Oh, you can stack them?
I know you can in TTYD. I'm not sure if there's 2 Close Call
I'm
badges.
pretty sure that everything is stackable in Paper Mario.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that Close Call one, I had that proc a lot. So I definitely believe Don's when he says it's like 1/3. It's got to be at least that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like stacking that, making it like 50% or higher. That's jeez.
So there's this NPC later called Chet Rippo. Actually, I think you can get to him pretty early on.
Oh,
he
yeah.
offers for some money to upgrade one of your stats. And I think he's supposed to be like a gag for players. Because like the first time you use him, if you were a kid and you used it, you probably felt ripped off, right? So you're like, oh, upgrade my HP. But he takes a level away from your other stats.
Yeah, but he adds 2 to the one that you want, right? Is that what it is?
No, he just adds 1.
Oh, is it? Oh, really?
Yeah. But you do this on purpose because he takes away 5 of your 10 HP. And now you're just permanently in danger all the time.
Yeah, that build that you're talking about fascinates me. Like, I wanted to do it so bad, but I was just like, I actually tried to do it, but then I was just like, you know what? I want the original experience, so I guess I'll play the normal way. But like, yeah, I rolled with it for a little bit, but then I started getting like further and further in the game, and I just don't know like all the enemy attack patterns and stuff. So I was just like, I was getting clobbered a lot with like low HP, so I kind of forgot it. But like, man, I just that kind of build in a Mario game, it is amazing to me.
And like we're talking about a game where the final boss has 99 HP, right?
Yeah.
I was dealing 9 damage per jump.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And when you jump and hit the action command, you get 2 hits, so it's 9, 18.
That's
and
crazy.
There's like an attack called it's Power Bounce, where it's kind of like the Super Mario RPG, where if you keep hitting the button at the right time, you keep bouncing. Only it starts at 9 damage, and then it goes 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, right? And you've
still though
ton of damage.
Yeah, it adds up. In this game, that adds up a lot.
Yeah, I would say that most enemies in the game don't have more than like 50 HP. Just Bowser and there's
the Master, I think, right?
The Master, and there's like one other enemy that have like more than that. But I think the Crystal King has 50.
I one-turned the Flower Fields boss. Like he's
Huff and Puff.
Yeah.
Oh, the Cloud. Yeah.
He's like capped at 12 little minions or whatever.
Not enough.
Yeah, I think they tried to promote using the partner that you get in that area. What was it, Lakitu or something, where you have to like throw the spinies to get all the little ads or whatever.
Yeah, but
I mean that's how you're supposed to do it, but like...
Just
Like,
use
I had-
sushi. Just use
Yeah, I had
upgraded
sushi with Tidal
Just
Wave.
forget that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't
Or
have that. That must have been an upgraded ability.
Yeah, it's the first upgrade.
Yeah, see, I didn't have that, so.
The second upgrade, actually. The first upgrade, he does the water
Oh,
block.
the water
Yeah.
barrier.
Yeah. Well, Huff and Puff can mess you up if you don't know what he's all about. I think he was kind of hard the first time I fought him, but
having like even one defense badge is like broken, because it's like I've noticed that like the enemies that like spawn a bunch of ads, they only do like 1 damage. So on paper, like is my pun there. Yeah, so like on paper, say if you have like 12 ads and you have 0 defense, 12 damage is a lot. Like that would mess you up. But
Well,
like
the first part of the Shy Guys toy box last boss, it's a bunch of just a ton of Shy Guys, and they like crowd on you and they're attacking you, but it's like ding ding ding.
Yeah,
you're not taking any
if
damage.
you have that 1 defense badge, it basically makes it all like for nothing. Like you're just impervious to it, which is cool. I like that. I mean, I think you could probably action command all that if you were good enough, or if you knew how to. But like,
you can action command like every attack.
Basically the Daigo parry of Paper Mario. There's like another enemy that turns into your partner later on too, and if they turn into Bo, you have to action command each smack. She goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to know the timing and to action command all 6
It's
smacks.
the I don't remember their name, but in the 1,000-Year Door, it's Dupless.
Are they in any other Mario game, or are they like a Paper Mario only thing?
I don't remember them.
Yeah, me neither. That's one of the things that I really do like about this game, right? Is that it feels like a Mario game. I would argue that Super Mario RPG had a lot of enemies and characters that just did not come from any seemingly like Mario at the time source material, right? But like this is one of the things that I really like about this first game is that it feels like you are going through the Mushroom Kingdom. At least to me, this is what the Mushroom Kingdom is, right? Like if I play Super Mario World, although that's technically the Dinosaur Kingdom, or if I play Mario 3, like this game has a cohesive feel with those games, whereas like even though Super Mario RPG takes place in the Mushroom Kingdom, there are locales that you never see again, like Boomer's Tower, right? Like that character never comes back in any Mario game as far as I know. But like you could buy the fact that like, oh, there's a village of Koopas, there's a village of Goombas, there's like a village of Boos, right? Like that all kind of feels like it's a cohesive world, and it just feels so fleshed out. It's one of the things I really love about this game.
Yeah, and Yoshi's Island with Raphael the Raven.
Yeah, who I guess you said is from the
Yeah, it's one of the bosses from Yoshi's Island. You
Is
fight
he
it
the
on
boss?
yeah, it's the one where you're on a sphere and he's the big raven and he follows you, but you have to ground pound the stake in the ground and it pops out the other side to hit him.
I have never actually played through that game. I hope we get it this year as somebody's submission.
I just played it last year.
I've heard it's really good, but I've never played through it. And you go from like the Goomba village to the Koopa village, to the dry desert with a lot of the familiar enemies like Pokies and Dry Bones, and and you're working your way up because like in the beginning of the game, Bowser shows up and I feel like it's almost comedic where you're going back and forth between Mario and Bowser and you're dealing each other 1 damage, just like slapping each other around.
Yeah.
And then he like busts out the Star Rod.
Pulls out his gun.
Yeah. And he turns completely invincible and he just schools you and you're like, excuse me. This isn't how it's supposed to happen.
I know.
So when I was a kid, I didn't have nearly as big of a problem with it as I do now. But every time a chapter ends in this game and you have to play as Peach, I felt more annoyed by it than anything. Like, maybe it's because I've already played through and I know the dialogue and, like, it's dialogue heavy with, the inside of the castle with Bowser and the minions and stuff. Like, it could be that, but at the same time, I feel like it pulls me out of a game that I want to keep playing into a segment that I just don't have as much fun with.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it. Like me, it didn't bother me because it was like my first playthrough, but like they're fairly quick, honestly. Like some of them are like just cutscenes. You know, sometimes you have to like bake a cake or something or sneak around, but like they're fairly quick if you really think about it.
So it's definitely a first couple time playthrough thing because it's that story part of the RPG, right? And they're telling you how Mario knows to go from place to place to figure it out because Peach got kidnapped with the castle and it's her castle. So Bowser's castle comes up from under the ground and it's carrying Peach's castle like high up over the earth. This is like the planning that Bowser went through, right? This is why this game has such gravitas because Bowser went and built a second castle under Peach's castle, and God knows how long that took, right? And he's been planning this, and that could have taken years. So maybe he was like you were fighting him in Super Mario 64 and he was building the castle at that time still, right? Like this was his master plan. Bowser's never been more Bowser-y than this. And he steals this star rod, this all-powerful relic, right? And but he kidnaps Peach with the castle. And it's Peach's castle, so she knows all the secret passages and stuff and how to get around. And there's this little star kid that comes and meets her. What's his name? Twink?
Twink.
Yeah, Twink. And he's flying back and forth between where Mario is and the castle, telling Mario everything that Peach finds out sneaking around in the castle. It just has this little bit of comedic effect, I think.
Yeah. I like that you could get items and badges on Peach's side that you could give to Mario through that, putting it in that chest, and you could go to was it Star Valley, and then you can grab it out of there.
Oh man, you found that, huh? Because
yeah.
I don't think I found that until my second or third playthrough.
No, they tell you about it.
If you go in the room.
Yeah, Twink tells you about it, I think, or I think it was Twink that says this will help Mario on his quest if you throw it in this chest. But there was a lot of times where it was I had an item that or a badge that I wanted to hand over to Mario, but then I went through a certain door, then it ended the segment, and I was like, man, I really wanted that badge.
I actually had to hit the reset button for the Power Rush badge because I think you get it during the cake baking section.
No, it's earlier. I think you get it right in between chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was early.
There's a section where you have to bake a cake for a really fat shy guy, so he won't rat you out.
It's gourmet guy.
Yeah, gourmet guy. and I got stuff that I wanted to hand off, and then I didn't remember where the kitchen was, and I accidentally entered the kitchen. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just fail the cake making, and I think it makes me have to go walk back there so I can go to the chest. No, you're stuck. If you
that's what happened to me.
You go right back to the kitchen. Yeah. And you can't control yourself when you're in the kitchen. It's just
Peach's rightful place.
I like his dialogue. If you fail the cake, he's like, "Where'd you learn to cook? Truck driving school?" So good.
So, what was you guys' favorite chapter?
Let me think. I liked the island, the Yoshi's Island. I really liked that one. I also didn't mind the snow level either. In the Crystal Palace, I thought that was not bad either. I like the puzzles where it was it was kind of parallel worlds almost, where it was whatever you do on this side would affect it on the other side in a certain way. It was very puzzly, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think the Crystal Palace is probably my favorite dungeon in the whole game, but my favorite chapter is definitely the Tubba Blubba chapter.
Yeah.
Where Bowser's got this invincible minion called Tubba Blubba, and he eats booze. It's where you meet Bo, and you figure out how to use her powers for different puzzles and stuff. And you have to go through Tubba Blubba's castle, avoiding two things. There's these little helicopter-y grab you guys that'll throw you out of the castle if they catch you, so you have to use Bo's power, or just be fast. And then Tubba Blubba is walking around there too, and you can't beat Tubba Blubba until later.
Yeah. Did you talk about Clubbas?
Yeah, Clubbas. It's just a really funny chapter because his guards are all these derpy green Clubba guys with these clubs, And they just,
So
they're
the
very straightforward.
something that Don and I used to laugh probably more about than we should have is when the clubber tries to hit you and you dodge the attack that he does outside of battle. He slams his club down, and to show his frustration, they show a scribble in a text box. He's just so mad.
There's also that like hallway of them though, where there's like 8 of them or something, and they're all asleep, and you have to like walk slowly and not to wake them all up, and get to the end, get the key, and walk back.
I killed everything
You know
in
what's
this
kind
game.
of, you know what's kind of bogus about that segment? Because it's like, I know what you're talking about. Because it's like you beat like a battle, and then you get these coins, and all of a sudden all these items popping up. So it's like they don't stay on the screen very long. So it's like you either run and have to get them and wake all these guys up, and now you have this massive train on you, or you slowly just walk to them, and then you're gonna miss a bunch of coins anyways. So I remember that. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna go one battle after another because I want to get all these coins and stuff.
For that point in the game, they deal a lot of damage too. I forget they
think
deal
it's
like 3 damage. It's a lot to fight, and you can't jump on them, so they're harder to kill.
Do you know how I did that room? I started every single fight with Bombette.
That's a lot of flower power.
No, I initiated the battle with an explosion.
Oh, because they're all asleep? Yeah.
Yep, they don't move.
Yeah.
Oh wow! How much damage does that do? Or
5?
Dude, I never did. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever initiated a battle with the partner. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, Cooper and Bombette, and I think that's it.
Oh, that's probably why. Because if it's only 2 partners that can do it, because anytime I got like a first strike, it was always with Mario. So yeah, that I didn't know that. Like 5 damage is a big deal to start a battle.
It's really hard to time, but yeah, if you get it.
Yeah.
My least favorite chapter this time, because I was trying to go fast, Flower Fields.
No way, dude. Shy Guy's toy box.
That's my least favorite.
Doo-doo.
It's up there, but the Flower Fields, man, I was feeling it. I'm like, oh god, you have to walk back and forth so many times in that area. It's terrible.
You have to get the blueberries and the red berries and the yellow berries, and you need the crystal flower, and you need
here's
the water stone, and
the water stone. It's over there. Where you just were, over there, that way.
You have to get the sun to come out, and you have to get the soil and the plant seed and the miracle waters. But I like Flower Fields personally. It's not my favorite. My least favorite is Shy Guy's Toy Box every time I play. But my favorite, it's hard to pick because I really like Chapter 3. I really like, which is Tubba Blubba. I really like Chapter, what's it, 5 is Lava Lava Island.
Yeah.
And I really like Chapter 6, which is the ice or the Crystal Palace. It's really hard to pick one, but I think overall probably the Crystal Palace because it adds an extra layer to the game that's kind of a little bit missing up until that point with the puzzle solving, and it's a nice change of pace with a pretty fun boss at the end.
It also is a shift in tone. Like it's when things start to get real. The Crystal King plays for keeps. And you're in the Star Village, and there's just something like more mystical about that chapter, and it sets you up, I think, very well for the final chapter where you go through Bowser's Castle and beat Bowser. Like that chapter to me makes you feel like the whole Mushroom Kingdom is in danger.
Yeah.
Save it.
You want to know what my favorite part about the final chapter 8 is? When you unlock a jail cell and you talk to the toad inside the jail cell, he goes, "Shh, this isn't a toad house, but I'll let you sleep here."
Yeah, I remember that. I definitely took him up on that offer.
Yeah, it's quite a gauntlet, actually.
Yeah.
Especially if you fight everything.
I didn't sleep the whole game. Not a single time.
Really? Wow.
No sleep till Brooklyn, baby.
Well, he doesn't need FP or
Yeah.
HP, you know.
Yeah.
Just stocks up on life mushrooms just in case, or life shrooms or whatever.
I did buy 3 life shrooms at the end, and I ended up using 2.
Yeah.
The one of them got taken by the rival character. There's like this mini. I don't even know what he is.
Koopa.
Is he?
Martin Koopa.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's a Koopa.
Or whatever his
Only
name is.
he's not fully hatched. He's like in an egg,
Yeah.
and you fight him like 6 times, I think, and each time he's powered himself up in some way to try to beat Mario. He serves as like the rival character in this RPG.
Junior Troopa.
The last time he shows up, there's this set of bosses called the Koopa Bros, who actually are, I think, my favorite bosses in the game, just because I like their aesthetic and what they're going for, because they're like Ninja Turtles,
Turtles,
kind of like Koopas, and they're trying to take Mario out. So you beat them because they're the first chapter, right? But then they show up in Bowser's Castle, and you think it's going to be this epic rematch with them, because it's like in front of the last door, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to get the Koopa Bros fight that we deserved, right? And then like the rival character comes through and just like obliterates the 4 of them.
One shots all of them
to fight you. And he's tough. He
Yeah.
has he has like a basic form, but then he has like another form where he has wings and a spike on his head, which if you don't have this badge to deal with the spike, you are very limited in what you can hit him with, right?
Yeah, like that last form, I think he uses all the forms on you in one way or another, unless you delete them really fast. But like for me, he went through all his forms, like his mage form, like the flying form, and whatever else that he had.
Yeah, the mage form even heals.
Yeah.
So we didn't like go really super duper into detail, but just for anybody listening, if you haven't played Paper Mario, if an enemy is flying, you can't use your hammer. And if an enemy has a spike, you can't jump or like fire, or if it's electrified, you can't jump on it unless you have a special type of badge. So you have to use your hammer. Which is why when these guys are talking about how Junior Troopa is flying, so you can't use a hammer, but also has a spike on his head, you can't jump on him unless you have the spike shield badge.
Hammer throw,
So-
baby.
Oh yeah, hammer throw.
Ew.
But
Not a hammer throw.
that's where the genius of the simplicity yet the strategy comes from in this game, is that your basic attacks are hammer and jump, and there are obstacles on them. If there are enemies in a row on the screen, you can only hammer the front enemy, but you can jump on any of the enemies in a row. So there's just like this extra, part of this game that tickles that puzzle solving part of your brain. Like certain partners can't attack enemies that are behind the front enemy. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I felt like the hammer could have been a little better. I just felt like jumping was almost always better.
You can thank the spike shield badge for that.
Yeah, that. But like the damage calculation, just because like the jump, you can jump twice, like that's so huge. I feel like the hammer falls behind because it's just one big hit, and it usually just doesn't add up to like the 2 little hits from the jump, because if you add up those 2 hits, it's like
Isn't
a
the
great bigger
hammer,
number.
if you time the action command right, I think it's only 1 damage behind a perfectly executed action command jump.
Is it really? I don't know. I felt it was weaker than that.
They're even until you start adding attack pluses. So
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
attack plus 1 just gives you 1 damage to everything you do, including the hammer. Because like at a base level, the jump deals 1 per hit and hits twice. The hammer just deals 1 hit for 2 damage, and then when you get the upgraded hammer, it's 4 damage, and upgraded boots is 2 damage per jump, right? When you start adding the attack plus 1s, then you'll get jumps that deal 2 damage per hit, but the hammer only deals 3. So the hammer falls behind if you start using any kind of attack up badge, which hopefully you're going to use, or else this game is going to take a lot longer than it should.
Oh yeah, I will say like the Quake badges, or the ones that do the AoEs with the hammer. No, dude. Like the last one that you get is really good, because it's like it also flips over like the shelled enemies. I don't know if you knew
I don't.
that.
Yes, but I don't think that they. If I remember correctly, they don't take in consideration your attack bonuses,
No, they don't. But
which is kind of why I'm just like kind of
But
meh
like
on them.
they do ignore defense though, which is kind of cool.
but I had in Bowser's Castle, I was doing this like I had Bombette, and then I mean this costed a lot of FP, but like I had like 40.
Bombette, yeah.
I had like 45. But I was doing like Mega Quake into like her Mega Bomb or whatever, and it was literally I was deleting every single fight. It was
It's
so
like
good.
15 FP per fight.
Yeah, but like if you had like a bunch of like FP items like I did, like I didn't run into any problems. Like usually I had enough FP to get me to like the next like heart box, whatever that you jump up to replenish.
Just like stock up on what is it, Wampa's bumps,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
whack as bump.
Wacka's bumps.
yeah, I thought that was weird because I was like, why are they giving me such an OP item early on? That's why I asked you guys in Discord. I was like, is there a catch to this item? Because why he just is like handing them to me. Like
Apparently,
pretty much.
in Paper Mario TTYD remake, he's a very hard extra boss. Like if you hit him enough times, he shows up much later, and he's really psychotic. But this time I ended up using a lot more of the star powers. So because I was going so fast, and I reached a point where I was afraid if I leveled up too much, I was going to have to level up HP. I had to use star powers that I've never used. So I saw, and even though I've played this game so much, I saw animations this week that I don't think I've ever seen. Like there's the last star power guy who turns all the enemies into stars and just ends the combat.
Yeah,
Like,
I never used that one.
Yeah, I was spamming that in Bowser's Castle, so I didn't level up because everything I killed was giving me like 8 star points, and I was like, oh god, I don't want to level up before Final Bowser. It'll be really bad.
Yeah, the one that puts everything to sleep is powerful because it works on a ton of the enemies, and I think there's one that does dizzy on all enemies too.
So there's one called Chill Out.
That one's crazy.
It is crazy. It lowers enemies' attack by 3, even bosses. And you can imagine, right? Like if you have 5 HP and you have half damage and things still hurt you, they don't anymore.
Yeah.
That's for darn sure. It is busted.
I tended to use that one a lot when I got into battles with like 4 or 5 enemies. I was like, this is a good time to use it. Especially if I didn't know like how the enemies attacked. Yeah, I would just pop that sucker on and then like I would just get hit for like, no damage or 1, maybe sometimes 2 if they were strong. It was very, very potent star ability. The refresh one's not bad either. Like when you first get it, I used the crap out of that one too. When I
Really good when
first
you have
got
5
it.
HP.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah, I use refresh like the most until I get the big heal from Lava Lava Island or whatever.
I use Starstorm a lot.
Oh, I did too.
One that does 7 damage to all,
Yeah,
defense.
yeah,
It's a one shot on a lot of stuff.
yeah. Especially like mid game, like it's very good. Like I used it a lot because a lot of things only have like 7 or less, so like you can just instantly win a battle with it.
Starstorm into Power Shell.
Yeah, that too. If they just have a little bit more HP than 7.
Yep.
Gosh, we could go. I know. I could go on and on, but did you guys want to kick over to your review of this game?
Sure, let's do it.
So this is the part of the show where I am going to remind you that if you are listening to us on a platform, go ahead and leave us a kind rating and review. It doesn't have to be 5 stars; just make it fair. It really gets us jazzed to see those reviews, to see those new subscribers and downloads. It's probably the best way to help the show. If you like what you hear and want to keep us doing it, that'd be the way to go. And if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out the YouTube channel. Dan puts a lot of effort into the visual elements of our podcast. I really think that sets us apart from other casts that I've seen. I'm not knocking anybody. Podcasts are definitely an audio format, but Dan really pulls no punches in terms of the video editing. So go and check that out and subscribe too, so we can do our bonus episode. And with that being said, let's get into our review. This is the portion of the show, if we had a guest, we would have excused them already, and then we get to talk frankly about the game. Since I'm the guest, because it's my game, mostly your guys' review this time. So we talked about all the things we love about it. Go ahead and rake it over the coals if you want.
Pretty much, I've said that that I didn't really like about it, but like again, I didn't even know like it gets remedied with the badge, but like the whole like switching out a partner, taking a turn. But like other than that, like the game is just flawless. Like I'm surprised it took me this long to play it. But I just like everything from like the action commands, the badge system, the hammer versus like the boots for attacking. Obviously, you got like the different partners that for suited for different enemies. There's so much thinking involved in this game that like it just keeps you engaged. It's not like, for example, you go into like another RPG, it's like random battle, you're just sitting there like tapping the A button just to get through it with the attack button. This game, every battle you go through, you got to think about what you're doing. And even when it's the enemy's turn, there's still stuff for you to do with like defending and whatnot. I don't know if like you guys noticed this, but like I've noticed Chapter 5 final boss. I don't know if it's like the lava in the background or whatnot, but like it's kind of laggy. And I actually got a game over on this boss because it was throwing off my like jump timings. And I had the what's that badge called? All or Nothing. I had that one on, so like every time I was mistiming a jump, I was doing no damage. So I eventually got a game over. But I don't know if you guys noticed that, like with that boss, but like the timing's different because it's a little laggy. But that was the only instance I've had. Other than that, every other battle in this game is like flawless.
You played it on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's what I
online.
Yeah.
I played it on the Wii Virtual Console because I bought the game forever ago on it.
I played it on original hardware.
Does that have that problem on yours?
I didn't notice it.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's like a direct rip from the game. I really don't know, but it was like I was saying, it was throwing my timing off. But like, yeah, I just like the worlds. Every world just seems different. I really love chapters 3 aesthetically. It kind of reminded me like of Castlevania, and anything like that, of that style, like just wins points with me because I just really like that aesthetic or that atmosphere, I should say. Game is flawless. I would recommend it to anybody. It was definitely a good pick from Don.
So I've been gushing about this game all night because it is my favorite Mario game, which means it's also my favorite Mario RPG game. But a couple of the things that I don't like about this game. The first thing is the inventory space is abysmally awful.
Yeah, 10 space is not a lot.
10 items,
yeah.
It is not enough. Because I don't need items to play the game. And every time I pick up a new item, an enemy drops an item in, I just pick it up because of force of habit. It's like, whoa, what do you want to throw away? You're like, oh, fuck this stupid screen again.
Yeah.
Throw this mushroom away, and then it bounces off something and touches me again. What do you want to throw away?
So what I've learned to do is I kind of stay at like a sweet spot. So if I have like 7 items, I try to just use something just for the sake of using it. Whether it's like an attack item or like, oh, maybe I'm down 2 HP. I'll just use this, 5 HP mushroom to get rid of it.
Supposedly, like speed strats like to use double and triple dip, which are badges that let you use multiple items in a turn. So like you'll just throw out like 3 star storms to kill the scripted fight that you're gonna have to do. Basically, I'm not that good, but like early on I found myself using a lot of items. So, like, for instance, like, I would save specific items for specific instances. Like, you find a fire flower really early on. You save that for the Goomba King, because you kill the 2 little ads and you deal a lot of damage to him. And then you get, like, a Thunder Cloud pretty early on, too, which deals just 5 damage, ignoring defense. You save that because you go kill the Chomp from the King Toot and Koopa boss with it, just, like, instantly. And you don't have to deal with the Chomp. You just have to deal with him. Like,
I actually farmed chain chomps from that boss.
Oh, really? Bring out another.
He killed himself. Sometimes he drops the rubble on himself. He killed himself. I was killing all the chomps and getting all the experience.
Oh my god!
Wow. That reminds me. I just want to say this real quick. That I think it's chapter 2 where you can talk to like that. I don't know what race they are, but it's the same race as like the fortune teller guy, where like you can pay like a certain amount of money, and then like you can get like random buffs in battle. There was a time where like I got like 42 experience points, and then like that thing spawned and like doubled it to like 84.
You were like, yeah,
I was
buddy.
like, oh my god, that's almost a whole level.
It's all luck based too, whether it happens and what it happens on. You're like, come on, baby.
You know it's happening too, because it's like when you see the experience happen and then like the screen goes dark, you're like, yes.
Oh, you can't win if you don't play.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because like it must be like limited time or something, because I eventually stopped getting like those buffs. Like,
You could just go back and pay her again, but yeah, the more you pay her, the longer it lasts.
oh, okay, that's what it was. Because eventually it just stopped happening, like full stop. I was just like, all right, well, guess we're done with this.
Yeah, the magic runs out. I forgot to go to her this time.
Yeah, I didn't do her this time either.
Sometimes she buffs your attack. And it's
Yeah,
great.
or defense. Yeah,
I forget. It's a really big buff with the attack. If I remember correctly, it's like 4 or something.
Wow.
Like, holy cow.
I touched up on the Princess Peach segments, and I think that's just from playing the game so much and knowing what's going to happen. Just kind of took it away from me. But for a first-time player, it likely won't bother you. I wish there was more badge points. 30 seems like a lot, but I like using the attack plus badges, and they use 6 each, and there's like 2 of those, 2 defense ups, which takes 6, and like
yeah. I tried cramming all those, and I just couldn't.
Yeah, it just takes too much points, and
Yeah.
I just wish I could equip more stuff. And like Mario is very versatile with the badges. I just wish I had more room to do more things.
But like the problem was like you have so much, like you're saying, they cost like 6 points a piece, which is great and all, like when you have all this like attack and stuff, but like then it took away from the uniqueness from the badges, because I just didn't want to turn it into a stat game. Because there's a lot of unique badges where it's like, Spike Shield, where you can jump on enemies and stuff like that. So I was like...
Spike Shield is mandatory.
Yeah, so
I always had it on.
I didn't want to turn this game into just numbers, so I just like kind of dialed it back a little bit with those badges.
Another thing was that there's not very many side quests in this game. So like you have your main story, and then you have the star pieces, which let you buy badges. But there isn't really like... There's like... The only other thing I can really think of is the Parakarries, like, deliver the letters thing. But usually you get, like, star pieces from it. And, like, there's Chuck Quizmo, who you do, like, trivia with. You get star pieces from it. But there aren't a lot of, like, side quests. Or, like, there's not, like, an extra optional dungeon in this game. Or, extra stuff to do other than the main story, mostly. Shy Guy's Toy Box is a nightmare. And... the last thing that I had on my cons list was partner minigames. Some of them are unique to their character, but a lot of them share minigames. Like, for example, Bo's Smack and Fan Smack are the same, but it's also the same for Air Raid. All of Cooper's abilities are the same as your hammer. Like, I just kind of wish there was a different variety of little minigame for your action commands on every single ability, so that you got to play and feel like you're playing differently.
Yeah.
Like, how many times you want to smack the control stick to the left every time you use Bo, and like whenever you use Parakarry's AoE move?
I think what they were going for there is like you could use like the same motions but get different effects. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you could do like bows by slapping the stick left to do single target, damage, or you could do the same motion, but you could also get AoE damage with it instead. I mean, yeah. I think that's what they were going for. Like,
it could be, but also, isn't that what you use to do Licky Lister's AoE attack?
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah,
like that's so many abilities where you do the same little mini game. But I like Sushi's Tidal Wave, for example, where you have to input the button commands. And then, like, Goombario, you time it his attack like Mario, and his other attacks, multi-bonk, and it's just like a multi-bounce.
Yeah.
I just wish there was a little bit more variety on the little mini game, that's all.
You know what mini game I like struggled with? I just couldn't figure out was I think it was with Watt with like the AoE paralyze move. It says press the A and B button simultaneously, and I was doing that, and it just like would barely go up. I just couldn't. I don't know what I was doing wrong.
It's a very powerful ability, so they just make it hard to do. And
Yeah.
I don't know the exact mechanism, but certain abilities like that one and like the one that Bo um, uses to scare away all the enemies, they get harder based on the group of enemies that you have. Like there's
Oh,
almost like some kind of internal, buffer against certain effects. It feels
okay.
like.
Some of the pros was this was an exciting new way to play Mario at the time. Like they had Mario RPG, but this game is not that. They are separate. The action command is just so much more pronounced. The badge system is awesome, and just the way that the combat is laid out, I think, is just better in almost every single way than Mario RPG, and that's just my opinion. But it's simpler and it's streamlined and it's amazing. The strategy is much higher than Mario RPG. The dialogue is extremely charming. Um, I like that all of the enemies have inside and outside of the battle effects and puzzle solving. I like that the numbers are lower because, like Don had talked about earlier, it's like it's not just some arbitrary large numbers. It's actual strategy based on math that you have to do damage and defend and plan out your turns. And the last thing that I have on my pros is the story is really low lift, and it's wonderful for getting young people into RPGs. It's like, you know, child's first RPG, but it can be as deep as you want it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I think it's just a very engaging game. Like, there's, I know we've said it already, but there's like no autopilot, basically, right? Like if you play a Final Fantasy game, there are sections of the game where it is just hit the A button until everything's dead, like
Yep.
repeatedly, and you don't get that with this game. You have to be engaged in playing, in or out of battle,
You
and it
know,
just feels so good.
I don't want to knock like Paper Mario for this because this game's amazing, but it's kind of like skewing my perspective on other RPGs where it's just like you just sit there and mash because it's I just love the strategy in this game and like how interactive it is that it's just like now I think about it, it's just like Dragon Quest games like in particular are pretty mashy when it comes to like just killing enemies, and it in a way it just takes away from it. Like what you can do in an RPG, like if you just set your mind to it, it can be so much more than just hitting like the A button.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you got to play this.
Yeah,
Me too. Me too. All right, guys, you ready to put it to the test
let's
and
do it.
enter it into the league?
Bring it on.
This is the part of the show where we enter the games into our patented Cable Club League. What you're looking at here is a tier list maker, but the difference between our league and a traditional tier list is that each quote unquote tier is its own cup in the style of Pokemon Stadium, because we are a Pokemon scented podcast. So if you've watched our anniversary episode, you can get some idea of how this works. But basically, for the first 5 games, they're all going into the same cup, which you can see on screen here is the Apricorn Cup. We're going to play 25 games all year. So every 5 games, we're going to have to form a new cup because we want to have 5 games per cup. Because not all games are created equal. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
For sure.
Yeah, it'd be a really boring league if someone just slammed the best game of all time, like a Chrono Trigger or a Super Metroid,
Or
right?
Pokemon Gold or Silver.
Yeah, and then just have the entire league be over. So when we give out prizes at the end of the year, a prize will be awarded to each of these cups, as well as some ancillary things too. So we've had 2 episodes so far. So they're in the Apricorn tier. This is episode number 3 and game number 3. So there's nowhere for it to go but the Apricorn tier. Will it stay there? Who knows? We have 22 more games to play this year to find out if it can climb the ladder or if it's going to stay relegated to the junior league.
Yeah. Now episodes are going to get, pretty exciting with having guests. I can't wait.
And I'm just going to set the rule now. If we're talking about one of our games moving, we can't have an opinion on our own game. If you guys are thinking about moving Paper Mario, I can't help you guys sway that vote, basically.
That's fair.
Yeah. Just so we at least give the appearance of being unbiased.
Yeah,
this whole competition.
100%.
So we have to throw ourselves in there. We got to give our guests something to compete against.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of gamers
essentially we're setting the bar, and you guys got to come and see what you can throw at us.
I like that. Let's go with that. So
it's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, it is. But at least we'll get really good games, right? In theory, unless someone is really going for the bottom rung. But
which is completely viable if they want, to win in that tier.
Yeah, if you just want to be the best of the worst, collect your trophy and go home. You could try to be like, I'm going for the mid tier. Like the win mid tier. I'm not going to go for the top tier.
Yeah, there's absolutely no shame in picking your favorite game because, even if it's like, middle cup or whatnot, you could still win a reward, which is great about this whole tier list that we got going.
Speaking of which, our next game was actually picked by our longtime friend and community member, Doug.
The kazoo player.
Yeah, you might remember him as the kazoo maniac from the anniversary episode. And he has picked an RPG for us that came out in 1999 that was overshadowed by all the RPGs on the system it was on, the PlayStation 1. He has picked for us to play one of my personal favorites, The Legend of Dragoon.
Awesome. I love that game. It's been a while since I've actually went through it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to talk about that. So join us in a couple weeks for the Legend of Dragoon episode. Game over, fellas?
Game over.
Game over.